Hello. Happy Thursday. Welcome back to Baketorio. We started this on Tuesday, on my birthday, and we did not get as far as I would have liked. I don't think that I'm going to put the time in, across the next several weeks to actually try to do a rocket launch with this mod pack or anything like that, but I do want to get... I want to get to a cake. I wanted to make a cake for my birthday. We didn't make a cake on my birthday. I'm deeply disappointed in that. So that's the goal for today, is to try to actually get a birthday cake. I did set up a to-do list for the things that we need to... And I guess after that would be cows. The things that we need to do to be able to get to a cake. Looking at this at the 0.5 a second number, this is a lot of machines, so I might cut this in half. Uh-oh, what did I just do? Well, we'll start over. Let's just start the whole thing over. I don't actually know how to use Factory Planner. I always use YFC, right? So, instead of half a second, let's do, a quarter per second. We're going to have frosting, which is sugar and cream. We're going to have cakes. All of that comes from cake batter, which has butter in it. Liquefied butter, which comes from cream. Milk, which comes from unpasteurized milk. And then we also need to do some milk cream separation to balance out the whole everything. The unpasteurized milk comes from cows, which we'll have to get running consistently. We'll have to figure out level 2 nutrients for that, but not a lot of level 2 nutrients. Sugar is the thing we're going to need as well. Sugar. It's unrestrict bags, because that's going to be a problem. So yeah, this needs 1.75 sugar a second, 3.5 assembly machines. So we probably want to get 4 or 5 machines worth of sugar going for our overall loop. Okay, so let's do that. Let's work on the sugar factory. We say 2.5 sugar a second. Is that, yeah, 5 machines. Perfect. And that's going to need what? Okay, so sugar canes need a certain amount of nutrients, as well as... How much nutrients are we making a second? 6. Okay. Bags consume 2.5. Flour consumes none. All right, so for this much sugar a second, we will be able to do... running off the same nutrients. That's good. So that's 15 greenhouses, 5 assembly machines, and we do have to get some basic sugarcane seeds started. Sugarcane seeds, okay, they just need level 1 nutrients fed into them. How many do we need? Just 10 for each seed. Okay. We should be able to bootstrap quite a few of these then. And then it looks like I have enough greenhouses and assembly machines. So once we get those sugarcane seeds, I think we can get the sugar build done. Looking at our current system here. Yeah. I do need to figure out how I want to balance, like, returning wool bags with ones that are made fresh and how we deal with that. Because this is making, what, a whole... Right now we have half a belt of... Yeah, half a belt of wool bags. But when if we have to upgrade this to a whole belt, and I'm not sure we'll have to, then we're gonna need a way to, like, merge and split and deal with the priorities. Because, like, this comes out here, goes right now priority merged, and then... Actually, I think the way this works, with this as a priority input here, this isn't necessarily going to do the right thing, is it? Because if these are coming in on different lanes, yeah, these need to be lane balanced before they go into the priority merger. So that whichever path this pulls from... Yeah, I think this is wrong right now. I'll have to think about that a little further. Alright, there's some sugarcane seeds, so we should at least be able to start the sugarcane input to the system. Do I have enough belts? Let's grab a bunch of belts. We're gonna need belts. We always need belts. The speed of walking on stone brick is really not much of an improvement in base Factorio, is it? It's definitely faster, but it's not significantly faster. What else do we want? Let's grab some more. Do I have enough undergrounds? Yes. Do I have enough splitters? Maybe. Let's just grab a bunch of inserters. We've got lots of assemblers. I think we're going to be good. So we got to get sugar going, and then we need to feed sugar over to a place where we can make sugary bread, and that'll let us get level 2 nutrients. So I guess sugar we can tuck, like, right down here, because it's not going to be a super big build. And let's actually say 3 sugar a second instead of 0.2. That way it's an even number of assemblers, and we can do, like, both sides of a belt easily without having to throw a balancer in. Because I just prefer the look of things when they're symmetrical like that. And how much? All right, it's going to be 6 sugarcane into 3 sugar. But that's fine. That fits on 1/2 of a belt. Okay. So it's going to be like... something like that. These are all going to output their sugar. And then on the input side, 1.5 items a second. I think we can get away with just 1. We will have this. And this, I think, is going to be basically the same input as, like, as a smelting column, right? We'll have an input here that is just the bags. Which, yeah, now we need to handle the return bags differently, which is what I kind of thought was going to happen. So let's reroute all the bags and set up a little bit of like a central bag handling place here. So coming out of here, first things first, we're going to output lane balance this for now. In the long term, we wouldn't have to do that, but because how it's half built, we do have to output balance it. So we've got that belt there. And then here, we're also going to have, well, this belt will probably exist when all is said and done, but I'll just redraw all the belts when I'm done. So yeah, that's going to balance its return, or its input. That's fine. Through here, this is the return from the main build. This also needs to be balanced. And then that's a merge with input priority left, output priority here. Actually, you know what? No, because we have 2 outputs now, right? So we actually don't need to do an output priority at all. We just run one of these up. And this is where I was just saying, oh, I took that belt out and I'm going to need it anyway. That's here. Into here, which is lane balanced. So whatever this pulls, it will be Whichever side this is pulling from, it'll pull evenly on both lanes here. And then the return is the priority input here, so that's good. And then we need another one of these lane balancers down here. And this will be bags into sugar. All right. The other thing I need is I need to send nutrients down into sugar. Because we're going to need to feed those into the actual farms making the sugar cane. Okay. The farms themselves, I think, are basically just this. Yeah, 18 greenhouses, so it's just going to be like 2 rows of 9. We probably have some extra. Yeah, we have some more sugarcane seeds up there. I can grab them. It's not... It will bootstrap itself eventually, no matter what I do, but it's nice to have... more seeds in the input initially. And actually, these are going to get 1 extra just because I know that it is... I have a power pole layout for these, and it works with pairs. So that's what we're doing. In fact, it's literally this. And the input to those needs to be like that. Actually, it's going to be like this, and then flipped, isn't it? So this is going to be our output. Our output here. Filters for sugarcane to the right, which means the seeds come up to the left. Along with the nutrients here, which we're going to do something like this with that merged belt. And then the seeds and the nutrients, the seeds need to be split. Priority left there. Sure, that works. And then this output will be any excess seeds. Okay, now we just need water. I'm hoping that this water is not too far. Because I still don't have pumps. Until I get green science, I don't have pumps. And I'm building this whole farm in a desert. So... Alright, we're good. And we have our first sugar cane starting to be made, which means we're going to have our first sugar really soon. It probably would help if I actually connected this. And then I think for the wheat, I have like a... Did I put a buffer chest in this? I didn't. All right, doesn't matter. I think we're good. This should manage to be sugar cane or sugar being produced relatively consistently. Now we just need to bring the sugar up along with the wheat flour, and we should be able to get sugary bread, and sugary bread is what we're going to need for level 2 nutrients. Gonna do a Meraxis start. Oh, that's fun. I still haven't done much with Meraxis. I really should. I haven't done much with alternate planets really at all. Mostly because, you know, for the past year, my entire existence has been Pi, and Pi doesn't support Space Age yet. All right, so if we want to make level 2 nutrients, how many level 2 nutrients are we going to need, like, long-term for this loop? 0.047 a second, although that doesn't account for eggs. No, eggs won't need level 2 nutrients. They'll only probably need level 1. Okay, so I only need a trickle of level 2 nutrients then. At least as far as getting the... I'm assuming 1 is 1 machine, but we'll find out. Bread and sugary bread. Or hardtack and sugary bread. No, that's egg bread. Before we add this, let's just check recipe book. If we look at sugary bread, used in... Okay, there's salted hardtack and sugary bread that makes 2 nutrients. Or bread and sugary bread also makes 2 nutrients. Okay. So I don't think it matters which way I go. I guess we'll do the bread and sugary bread, because it's a little bit of an easier process. So that's this one. And that means bread, sugary bread, dough, and sugary dough. Oh, look at that. It's just like one of everything, one of everything, one of everything. Yep. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Cool. So if we've got, actually we can do them both just like right here. I don't even need to split these off. I think I just grab a couple of assemblers and plop them down. One of you makes dough. One of you makes sugary dough. Figure out water in a second. And then I don't actually like that. But I might not have a choice. You know what? We'll do it. And what I'll do is we'll pull these a little further back. Such that we've got that there, and then we can do these here. And... I don't love... Oh, no. This is gonna work. This is gonna work. This is gonna work. Right. And then these are gonna have sacks coming out. Bags. Which are also gonna be long-handed inserters. We pull the bags right through there. Look at that. Love it. And then we're going to have these furnaces. So these need to be filtered to bags. And these need to be filtered to doughs. I still need to get water into this area somehow. We'll think about that in a second. We need to feed coal into the furnaces. That's not hard. That's right, like here, basically. And then each of these is going to output something like that. And then we have two machines that are going to actually make the nutrients from the sugary bread and the bread. And this is where I say... Add to cursor. There we go. All right. We got to get the bag output figured out, and then this is our nutrients out. Let's see. Do we have space here to run the bag output? Like, I don't know. Like that? Sure. And then this will be nutrients level 2 out, which for now, I'm just going to throw in a box. We're going to need this when we are making milk. We're going to have to feed nutrients 2 into the milk processing, but for now, this is good enough. All right. So so what's next? Oh, I need to get water into here, which is going to be a little bit of a pain. Maybe not. Is that nutrients too? Cool. I think that's nutrients too. Let's cap that so I don't make a trillion of them. Sweet. Sugar is done. Level 2 nutrients from sugary bread are done. So the next thing we need to do is start to get hens. Looking at batter science, we need... We're going to need 8 barns. And to keep 8 barns running, we need to have a certain number of hens, like, in the loop for the barns. Right? Because each barn is going to want to have a couple of hens in its input. So we really need something like 24 hens. That's also the case down here. We really don't have enough sheep. Not that this system is running, you know. We're not pulling that much wool through. So it's not a big deal, but we do need a lot more sheep in this loop. I probably should be smarter about how I'm taking the sheep out and putting them back in. I could almost certainly, like, redesign this system so that each machine only has, like, a couple of sheep that it can loop through a box. Maybe I should think about that. If we have a barn, and it's making wool, all of its inputs are, yeah, like 0.6 items a second. So, like, if we do something like this, right, where we have... I mean, what are the inputs that are going to the sheep right now? They have their sheep, and then we also have nutrients and fuel. Okay. So if the sheep loop, this would take the sheep. And this would actually, no, we'll do it on this side. This one would take the sheep. This one doesn't need to be filtered. And then we'd have an input here from... Actually, we could just do it as like an input here, right? From a belt that has the nutrients and the nutrients in the wheat. And then the output here just needs to be filtered to wool. The only issue with this is figuring out power pole placements, because, like, previously I was doing this. And that's not gonna work if we have to have this here. Yeah, and they don't fit here. So it would have to be like this kind of thing. Which does mean rebuilding this entire sheep column if I want to change it over to do this. But I think it'll be... I won't have to breed up as many sheep to get it up to full speed if I do it this way. Not that, you know, that's necessarily an issue, but... Can we do this, like, a different way? Maybe. What if we want that belt to come in through here? And then we do... I mean, it's the same problem, right? Where there's no place for... Oh, actually, maybe not. Ooh, ooh, ooh. No, but then I still have to put the chest here, and I need the inserter here to hand off. Yeah. All right. Well, I think it's going to be like this then. That's going to be the module. And then power pole wise, I mean, I guess we just kind of have to do... Ugh, we're going to need 2 no matter what. So I guess we do it like that. And then when they stack up, we end up with full power pole coverage. It's a less dense build, which I don't love. The other option, I guess... instead of doing it horizontally, is to do it like this. And I guess I don't need chests here, right? They'll hand off items to each other, but it's nice to have the chests. And then we have an input, and we have that. And that also works, and I think is even less dense than the previous build. See, the problem is those will connect, which I don't want. I was trying to figure out if there was a way that I could get basically a power pole in right here. So this has to come through, and like, yes, I could do this. But those would connect to the next ones in sequence. Although, what if we do that? So that they go in opposite directions of each other. Then we're no longer... the items will still be in grabbing range of these inserters, right? They won't go all the way up and down the belts. They'll just cycle over to where they need to be. And since I only need power poles every other one, the ones that go up can actually be... How do we feel about this? Is this as awful as it feels? I mean, it's real bad. But it's very compact. And if we just double check that when this has power... Oh, I'm out of power poles. Yeah. Oh, no. Doesn't quite work. We don't quite have the reach to the center of this one, so we do have to have a power pole every... All right. What if instead we have, like... this. Still uses a bunch of undergrounds. And still requires a power pole at every building. I don't know if it's any better than the other design. This would be really easy if I had Bob's inserters. But this works. This loops a sheep for every one. It's a bunch of underground belts, which kind of stinks, but other than that... And this design should also work for milk. Yeah, because we bring in nutrients and wheat as fuel. We output... Well, we gotta figure out the... Oh yeah, the milk output's just on this side, which is where we would have had the wool output here. So just instead of outputting to inserters, we output to the milk output. Yeah. This will also work fine for cows. Perfect. Okay. I think this is what we're going to do then. So let's rebuild wool to match this. Just because, again, I think I have enough sheep to run wool more efficiently if I can be more efficient with my sheep. Then again, I have 57 sheep, so maybe it's not worth it. Maybe I just drop all my sheep into the loop and call it a day. Like, if this can make sheep at a rate where I already have 60 sheep, which is enough to run, like, 20 wool machines with them, like, looping consistently, maybe I just don't bother. We can do the new design for cows, but I don't necessarily need to rebuild sheep. I think that's how I'm feeling now. Anyway, the thing we need to do is get eggs going for this. So that means that we need to bootstrap our first hens. And those are going to need the level 2 nutrients, which is what we did just make. Let's clean this up. We should have a bunch in here. We do. Let's also drop off our sugarcane seeds and sheep into their respective machines. Yeah, sugarcane already actually managed to loop seeds around to, like, both sides of the belt, which is delightful. Oh, we probably need, like, a lane balancer on our sugarcane pole, huh? Oh, yeah, because of how I built this, we just don't have a lane balancer coming through here, so sugarcane doesn't pull evenly. It doesn't matter. I like it when my belts pull evenly. It makes me happy, but it's not actually a big deal. Cool. And then at some point, I mean, I guess I have the inserters. I can do it now. We'll get the other half of the sheep running. We should hook up these. There we go. We're going to need more sheep, I think, to have this many machines actually running consistently. Yeah, there's 26 machines. They each want to have, like, 2 or 3 in them at all times. Plus, we need some that are going to be looping around the belt. So we probably need, like, 100 sheep in the loop minimum for this to actually work. And then almost certainly I want a lane balancer in here. So that whatever we're doing with these machines, however we're pulling the wool and the yarn and the fabric, we don't want to be doing... Oh, I never built this other half of this. Okay. Do I have the stuff to do that? I do, but we don't need it right now. Stop getting distracted, Brandon. Focus on the task at hand, which is hens. The task at hen. Yeah, each chicken is 40 level 2 nutrients. All right. And once we get a few of those, then we can start having them make eggs, and we'll turn the eggs into more hens. If we want to do that, hen, chicken. Sorry, not hen. Okay, so yeah, hatching a chicken, we just feed it eggs, and it eventually makes chickens. And then making eggs is level 1 nutrients in a barn. Okay. So I need, like, 2... That's easy enough to do. Let's see, where do we have nutrients coming out? We have our level 1 nutrients up here. Yeah, this belt is nutrients. What's the time on these? Making chickens pulls in 0.05 eggs a second. Making eggs produces 0.1. Okay. So one of these can run 2 of those. And then we will have hens out, along with the hen that comes off of here. Which we will split. Output priority. Feed back in. Hen. And then here we have our output, which I do want to limit to a couple of stacks of hens max. And this also needs water. Everything needs water. What is with these animals needing water? All right, that should do the trick. We're not going to be making hens super fast with just one of these machines breeding them up, but it doesn't have to be super fast. Oh, this doesn't have to be a long-handed inserter, does it? There we go. So that's hens. To be able to make the batter science, we need 8 barns. I mean, this is easy to set up for just making eggs from hens, right? Let's get, yeah, I have barns in my inventory. I have belts. I have inserters. Let's go get the build set up for eggs. And then we'll we will figure out how to well, we'll grab the hens once the build is done, because hopefully we'll have a stack of hens at that point. This really is like the worst starting biome. There's 0 water and 1,000,000 trees, which is sort of the opposite of what I want. And we don't get grenades until we have green science. So, eggs. So this is going to end up being pretty much exactly the thing that I was just trying to figure out how to design earlier, where we're going to have an input of nutrients and wheat on a belt. And then we're going to have an output and an input, and this is the hen loop. And then each of these gets a power pole. Then on this side, we've got outputs and power. Boom. There we go. No undergrounds. I don't know why I thought I needed undergrounds when I was doing this, when I had the gaps up here. I had the power poles one closer. I think I wanted these power poles, the outer ones, to power the buildings. But we can power the buildings from the inner power poles, so we don't need... And then each of these needs like 3 hens, maybe, for the loop to work well. I don't think it's... Even 3 might be more than is necessary, but... And then we will have nutrients coming in here, which we'll need to grab from, like, this belt, I guess, and get routed over. And then these are also going to need a little bit of wheat, however much wheat those chickens need. We'll figure that out when we're back from the break, though. I will see everybody in just a couple of minutes when Twitch is done with its ad break. Welcome back, folks. We are halfway through getting ourselves our first little egg factory figured out. I'm out of power poles and copper. So let's go grab some copper, which unfortunately is pretty far away from here. I've got far reach set to, like, super far, so as soon as it's, like, just barely on screen, I just need one smelter that I can grab some copper from. That's steel, that's stone, that's iron, that's copper. Yeah, all of these are going to be sad because they don't have, well, they don't have chickens yet, but they also don't have wheat. Let's pull eggs into their own tab. 0.8 a second, I believe, is the number. For 8 of these? Yeah. And then if we want to be making wheat, okay, it's just 2 greenhouses doing wheat. That's easy enough. And do we have some wheat sitting around that I can grab some seeds for? The answer is yes. Last but not least, we have nutrients to bring in, along with the wheat, and that should be it for feeding our chickens. And as usual, we want to be lane balanced. Yeah, there we go. So all of these should just be missing. That's not nutrients, those are sacks. That's the wrong belt. Do I not have nutrients down here for the... Ah, that's this belt. My bad. That should be more like it. There we go. Yeah. Now, hopefully we've got a few chickens, and we can get the egg machine going. I think I probably only need 2 per machine, so like 16, but 3 would be nice. We have 4. Although we have a bunch on this belt, so... $21, $26, drop 2 off. I think 24 is plenty. All right, that should do the trick. Oh, all of these outputs need to be set to egg only on this side. Now that should do the trick. And when these are done, what we should see is the chicken be, yep, output and then put right back in. Beautiful. It's working. We have eggs. So with eggs up here, we should now be able to make level 3 nutrients. And if we do that in a new thing, these ones are going to get made from egg bread and sugar bread, which is identical to the previous build, except we also need eggs. So, like, all of this, copy and paste, and then shuffle some things around. Egg dough here. And let's just, like, send that in and call it a day. Oh, geez. Oh, there it is. From egg bread and sugar bread. Level 2 nutrients, or level 3 nutrients. Oh, I'm still out of undergrounds. And just for the sake of symmetry, let's that should be sugary dough plus eggy dough, making level 3 nutrients. Okay, progress. This is actually not that bad. I don't know if I was just overwhelmed by not quite having a plan yet on Tuesday, or if it was just because I was still exhausted from daylight savings time on Tuesday. But like, going through this and getting all this bootstrapped just doesn't feel that hard. It seemed like it was going to be much more overwhelming the other day. Okay. So with level 3 nutrients on our way to batter science here. Well, one, we're not making sugar. Sugar is a thing that we bring in. Milk is going to be next. Well, whatever 2 machines worth of milk is, I guess. And I guess we probably want to do, like, the milk and the cream processing kind of all near to each other. Maybe we only ship in, like... I mean, we'll ship in a pipe of milk, right? And a pipe of cream? Do we want to send in the liquefied butter and just make the butter on site at the cake batter factory? Also, is cake batter a... Cake batter's got to be a solid, right? Yeah, I think it is. So that's going to be a thing, too, is figuring out exactly how I want to get the cake batter build done. But sweet. We've got plenty of eggs. We've got the level 3 nutrients, which we should only need for bootstrapping purposes. I don't think we need level 3 nutrients for the actual cake batter. We will need level 2 nutrients. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. We will need level 2 nutrients for the milk to feed the cows. Okay. So let's start getting cows running, I guess. I think that's the next thing. And honestly, this is going to make 10 cows. 10 cows might be all we need. I might not even bother setting up a cow breeder. Whoops, I don't know what I just did. Okay, I need to think about how I want to do milk processing, and we might just want to have like, our cows go into a bunch of machines, we pasteurize the milk, and then we have a bunch more that can make cream. But the cream recipe is... I think also outputs milk. Yeah, milk filtering produces cream, but also milk. So we have to loop the milk. And looping milk without fluid processing is gonna freaking stink. Like, this is really easy with a top-up valve, or even vanilla with a, you know, a pump and a pump and a tank. But trying to do looping fluids without any of those options? I'm really not sure what the Baketorio Plus dev intends there. Let's see. Chemical plants. We're gonna need a bunch of those. And I should have had this building multiple stacks, because we're gonna need multiple stacks. Oh my god, how do I have so many bags? There we go. All right, let's make a cream. We're going to call this a cream factory. And the amount of cream we need is like 18 a second. Well, no, it's 10 here plus 7.5 for the butter. So 17.5. Call it 20. All right, turn on the matrix solver. And then we get the milk from pasteurization. Yeah, 2 chemical plants here, 9 here. And that requires 20 unpasteurized milk. But how much regular milk do we also need is the question. If we look at this, we get rid of this. And the cream. Okay, 3.75. So that was 17.5 there and 3.75 here. So... I mean, each of these makes what? 9 a second? Plus 1 cream from 10 unpasteurized milk? So if I say milk 9, does that add 1 more of these machines? Not quite. Oh, because that reduces how much cream we need. Yeah, of course. So would that be 21 would make the numbers work? Yeah, 3 there, 18 there. So that's making 21 cream and lots of more milk than we need. But we can run more chemical plants to turn more of that milk into cream, right? So if I say I only want 5 milk a second, okay. Then we need to what? Increase the amount of cream that we want? Yes, that does work. All right. I mean, this is fine. I think this will work for what we want to do. I could plug in our exact numbers, I guess, and see what it calculates for us. 17.5 and 3.75. Yeah. And it comes up with some weird numbers. So we're going to end up with 3 chemical plants here. And then some number here. Uh, 26 is 3 to 11.5, so it just doesn't quite work. But if we make it 5 and 25, yeah, we end up with 3 to 11. Okay. Can I make it 3 to 12, or does that reduce the amount of... I think that takes us below our milk threshold. I think that would only give us 3 and 27. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, if we want that, it's going to be 25 and 5. Okay. And then 30 unpasteurized milk, which is exactly 2 barns. Look at that. It's almost like these are the intended ratios. And then that's just 1 greenhouse doing wheat. Okay. I'm still concerned that this is going to back up, but we will have to see what we can do. And as soon as we get green science, like, and we have fluid processing, this will be no problem. Well, that's behind engines and automation too. So it's gated behind, what, 15, 30? We have to be able to make 45 batter science without it completely locking up. That might be fine. It might not be, but... I did not need that many greenhouses. $10 cows is plenty for the just 2 machines that we're gonna have. I'm not even gonna set up a cow breeder right now. What I do have to do, though, is get the level 2 nutrients out. Because we're going to need level 2 nutrients to feed the cows. I could definitely squeeze them in, like, right up here, because they're going to be such a small build initially. My concern is that if I do this and then I need to scale them up, we're not going to have the space for that. But you know what? I don't think we're going to have to scale them up. I don't think we're getting that far. But we already have water pipes coming through here. I mean, maybe over here. I was trying to avoid having to clean out these trees, and I was like, there's kind of some spots here without a lot of trees. But now that I'm looking, I'm like, yeah, there's just kind of a lot of trees everywhere on this map. So we're going to have 11 chemical plants here. Probably not like that, though. Milk filtering. Yeah, so these bring in milk and water. Cool. That is, yeah, 11 of those. And then we have milk out of one of these. And then cream out of the other. Sweet. And power all of them. Something like that. And then also hooked up to... I ended up with 12 of those, huh? Maybe we do 4 and 12 chemical plants then? So that would be what? $28 and 6. No. Okay, apparently 4 and 12 is 28 and 12 is the number, which is really not well ratioed, but we'll see if it latches up. I think it's going to latch up, but... Oh, but that also screws up the number of barns. Oh, never mind then. 11 and 3, so this is 11, right? Yeah, that's 11. And then we're going to have 3 of them down here. 1, 2, 3. These ones are doing milk pasteurization. Which has exactly the same outputs here. The milk we can connect through, the cream we can connect through. And it's honestly basically the same inputs too, isn't it? Oh, already out of... underground pipes. Where do I have an extra underground somewhere? I do have one, though. One of these somewhere has an extra one hanging. Ah, there it is. All right. It's like something somewhere has one hanging off of it. So then all of this, let's get water hooked up to them. And then we're going to have 2 machines down here making milk. And this is going to be basically the same as our input for eggs, right? And by basically the same, I mean exactly the same. Oh, you know what the issue with doing all this up here is, though? I gotta route my nutrients all the way up here. I didn't really think about that. I mean, it's fine. We'll find the, Well, we'll get it routed up. It's not a big deal. And this is... unpasteurized milk. Cows in the loop. So now we just have to run up nutrients and wheat to where we've got the cows happening over there. Wheat we'll do on site, I guess. We always are doing wheat on site for these sorts of things, aren't we? And then The nutrients are going to come out of here, and I just have to find that belt and figure out how best to get it where I want it. So I think once we've got the nutrients up here, obviously getting wheat hooked up is going to be pretty simple. We only need like one machine doing wheat, it looked like. I'll double check that in Factory Planner. Yeah, just one greenhouse doing wheat. Okay, that's easy. Easy, easy, easy. Let's grab... I mean, this is basically the build, right? It's the same identical build to what we used for the sheepies. Okay, I think really all that's left is to get water hooked up. Water's over here, which hopefully does reach this. Yeah, it should. Hard to tell for sure sometimes. This is not quite going to reach, unfortunately. Look at that. We need one more. One more. How are we doing on power, by the way? Might need to expand power soon. All right. Something to think about. Water not quite fully hooked up? No, not quite fully hooked up. Now we're making wheat. Or we will be shortly. And that feeds these guys, which are going to start trying to make milk. And those are going to start spitting out milk and cream. And these are all, there we go. Going to start spitting out cream. And they're just going to keep running until they run out of milk or until the cream pipe is full. Cool. Well, we have plenty of cream. My concern is that we're not going to end up making enough milk, but we'll see how it works. So we need like 2 more chemical plants turning cream into liquefied butter. We can do that, I guess, right up here as well. We may as well. Butter. Oh, these ones don't really have a mirror, do they? They're just that. And then butter out. Now, to make the butter sticks, I need wrappers. I also am going to need wrappers for cupcakes, right? Yeah. Looks like we need 1 1/4 wrappers a second. So let's get wrappers. Again, as their own factory, because I'm sure that's going to be basically its own thing. 0.31 machines. Oh boy. It's going to be 5 a second? Nope. 4 a second? Yes. All right. And that comes from 1 paper a second, which is 1 1/3 machines, because of course it is. Wood pulp. Ground wood. Wood. All right. The wood is going to need a small amount of level 1 nutrients. That's fine. And then we need to be able to make these wooden frames, which need copper, cable, and wood. All right. So I think we make the wooden frames up at the... Honestly, everything that... Well, except for the nutrients. But we only need nutrients for wood, and we already have wood. We need wood and copper to make wooden frames. And then we also need to make ground wood and then process that down into wrappers. All of this really wants to be made off-site from the baking. This is all like non-baking stuff. which is good to see. It's nice to see the like baking sides and the non-baking sides slightly less like isolated in the builds, although now that I've kind of split myself into a mall and into baking, it's kind of hard to know where to put things when they kind of straddle the line like that. But I think I can do the wrappers up here. And then we'll need to send those. We'll send wrappers down here. And I'll do the liquid butter from the... Maybe we don't. Maybe we get rid of these plants here and we just send the cream and the milk down to here. Because we'll turn the liquid butter into butter... in one more chemical plant. Yeah. Which also makes this buttermilk that I have to deal with, and I don't know how to deal with that yet either. Because as I recall, the only thing that uses buttermilk, yeah, is pancake batter, which we don't have researched yet. There's definitely some weirdness with, and I think a lot of that is the Baketorio Plus stuff, not base Baketorio, for whatever difference it makes. Make sure I'm blaming the right person for the stuff that's broken. It does feel like we don't quite have the tools that are needed to manage some of this stuff that the to manage some of these like byproducts and weird like looping processing chains. And it would be nice to have more of the tech tree unlocked before you have to do all this stuff. So we're going to start with machine right here. You're going to make copper cable. And you're going to make the wood frames. Wood frames out. Next thing, we need a... what? We need a assembly machine turning wood into pulp. And that feeds into a chemical plant. Doing the wood pulp. That feeds out to 2 assembly machines making... all right. Making paper. These guys are going to have their outputs here. We will split to the right the frames. Actually, you know what? No, not even going to do that. We're just going to filter these ones to paper. Here, we will have inputs and outputs. Yes, that should work. The output is just going to be the wood frames. We also input the wood frames. Now our wood frames here read, hold all belts, enable when frames are less than, I don't know, 10. And that should let us only add frames in when we need to. Like, these guys will input and output their frames, and this will just top up as we use them. I like that. That should work. And then we've got paper up to one more machine, which does the wrappers. Which is going to be like that and like that, basically. And there's our wrappers out, which we then need to route down out of the mall over to the bakery area. Obviously, the way I built this is super not scalable. We're not trying to scale things here. We're just trying to get it to work. Where am I going to get water? That's really a question. We have water here. Okay. Hopefully we can just hook up to this and it doesn't fail catastrophically. How many wooden frames is this going to let itself put in? Oh, it uses 30 in a craft. Okay. And outputs 28 to 30. Ooh. All right. This might not end up working right, unfortunately. Because these might have to output, like, too many frames when the craft is done. Let's just see if it manages. Well, it is ad break o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and let the ad run. And when we're back, we'll, you know, we'll see if these things manage to run themselves consistently or not. We don't actually need that many wrappers, so we might be fine. But I'll see everyone in just a couple of minutes. Welcome back. So we are making progress on batter science and on our cakes. I actually think at this point we just have to get... We got to get the liquefied butter and the wrappers routed to a place where they're together. And then we'll be able to start making butter. Without any kind of tank... I don't know how I'm really supposed to deal with the buttercream right now. But... let's grab a lot more belts, and let's also grab a lot more underground pipes. Because we're going to need both to get everything routed where it needs to go. There's wrappers. We're going to need wrappers for the butter as well as for cupcakes. All right, let's go grab the liquid butter and start getting that pushed down this way. What are we sitting at? We're sitting at a bunch of milk and full-on cream. Liquefied butter. So yeah, these are full on cream output, which is exactly what I was kind of worried would happen. So first things first, let's just set up a chemical plant right here to make the butter for us. I don't think we have to go too crazy there. Butter. Yeah, this thing will run as fast as we can supply it with wrappers and liquid butter, right? So... there's butter. eggs, butter. Oh, and we're already filled up on buttermilk, which is delightful. And, like, literally, this is how we're solving this problem right now. But I'm just going to have to void this when it fills up. So, all of this needs to be combined. Oh, with milk, too. We need milk, too. All right. Let's bring down a bunch of pipes of milk. I need to go get more pipe to ground. We're not going to have enough. So this whole thing, when all is said and done, we're aiming for like 15 SPM, which I would love to actually have that be a higher number, but unfortunately, it turns out Baketorio is complicated, or at least Baketorio Plus is complicated. Okay, so I think this is everything we're going to need for all of our cake stuff. We've just got to get it all, like, down into a format that I can make a batter factory easily. So this is really going to be, like, doing this kind of thing a lot. There's two of our inputs. There's two more of our inputs. And I'm out of belt already, which does not bode well, but you know what? We'll keep going. We're going to have two assemblers making cake batter. And then we will also have, oops, the milk in. And then each of these is going to have batter and sacks as an output. All right. Let's split this here. We'll send the wool bags back this way. And the batter will come out the other side. All right, let's go grab a bunch of belts, and then we will figure out our next step, which I think is just making the 2 different kinds of raw cakes and then cooking them. Yeah, batter into 2 assembly machines, and then batter and wrappers into 1 assembly machine each. And then each of those goes into their own row of furnaces. And those give us our cake bases. We also need... we need to bring down cream, too. Of course we do. We're going to need frosting. Yeah, I really should have just brought down milk and cream and done the butter on site now that I'm looking at it. But I don't feel like redoing the plumbing. So we're going to go ahead and just bring down all 3 things separately. It is what it is, because we need cream for the frosting. Yeah, and I'm definitely afraid that this system is going to back up on cream because it doesn't know when to stop making cream. And these guys will just run until it completely blocks, and then these can't make milk if they can't output cream. Sweet. So batter comes, whoops, out here. Batter needs to be turned into what? 2 machines making cake shapes and 1 machine making cupcake shapes. Okay. basic cupcake shape and raw basic cake. And then this also needs wrappers, which is right here. And actually, these really shouldn't be combined, should they? They're just separate things. Because each of them needs to be smelted separately. And then they can be combined into our two... Yeah, 5 furnaces each. But even that's not really right, is it? Because they also need to be... frosted before they get combined to make the science. So we're going to have that there. We're going to do the same thing, I guess, twice, basically. That'll be cupcakes. Now we need to make the frosting. Frosting is in 6 assemblers from sugar and cream. Okay, we've got our cream. Here. Oh, I'm out of inserters. Okay. Let's grab some inserters and a bunch more pipes, I guess, because I'm also pretty much out of pipes. And then we will get this nearly wrapped up. We're actually almost done here, which I did not expect. I mean, I guess it's been 2.5 hours, and it'll probably be 3 hours by the time we actually have green science rolling. So, yeah. All right. I'm glad I didn't try to do it the other day. I definitely would not have gotten it done. Oh, I didn't grab inserters. Oops. I knew there was something other than pipes I needed, and I was like, oh, I have plenty of them. I have plenty of belts. I don't know what else I would need. It's inserters. Each of these needs, yeah, sugar in, and then has its own little outputs that we will have to deal with. And filter. Let's see. Sugar is on the inside belt because... that's sugar. And then these are all going to have... Are we low power? Yeah, we're low power. I'm going to have to go increase power production for sure. But if we take that like that, we can route this whole belt basically through here. We want to go ahead and split this. Bags to the right. Okay. Now for frosting each type of cake, we need 2 assemblers for each type of frosting. Okay. That is easy enough. Can we do like a this kind of deal? Maybe one lower. Oop, and we're running out of assemblers here as well. We're out of space for assemblers, really. Well, no. Assemblers, not space. I was right the first time. And these are also in the wrong spot. Assemblers. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is going to be the output that actually goes to... cupcakes. On this side. On this side. Frosted basic cakes. And then this belt is going to feed the 6 assembly... No, the 3 assemblers that make batter science. And then I somehow need to figure out how to route that belt back to where it needs to go to actually turn science on. Let's see, if we sneak this up through, like, here, I think we're going to get exactly where we want to be. Oh, everything is still low power, too. We got to fix that. That is an easy fix. But yeah, this is pretty much where I need it to be. If we run this right up here. That'll start putting batter science in the loop. How bad is our power? Pretty bad. How many modules do we have right now? 4? All right. I have no idea how many I just actually, like, set up, but we'll, cool. That should be plenty now. There we go. Power's running. And in theory, we should be able to start working on... Well, Military 2 gives me grenades, which is nice. But I think I need to work towards fluid handling before anything else. So... engines and fluid handling. Yeah, we got green science. And again, we're not going to hit 30 SPM because we're just not making enough green science for that. We should hit like 15. It might not run 15 continuously, but we should be able to hit 15. to get up to actual 30 SPM, which is the scale that I built Red Science at, we would need, well, obviously we would need to like double our milk production, and you can see how big this is. And we would also need quite a bit more sugar and quite a bit more eggs, which like we could do, and there's kind of space here to be able to expand these to at least a reasonable level. But I don't think that's really necessary. I think we're doing pretty good here. Why is this red? This is red because we're not getting enough batter. And we're not getting enough batter because these inserters aren't getting enough throughput to get all of the input that we need. Is this also now an output issue? Apparently it is also an output issue. There we go. That looks better. Those are running like crazy. That should keep everything here going quite well. Yeah, we've got cupcakes coming through now. We had managed to buffer a few extra cupcakes before we turned on the system, it looks like, so we will actually... we might be okay with this little, like, gap in cupcake production that we ended up with here. 6 of these machines making frosting, no problemo. How are we doing on milk and cream? You know, they seem to have balanced themselves out, which I wasn't necessarily expecting, but I'll take it. I do want to more explicitly balance them out once we have overflow and top-up valves. But that's a future problem. We did it! We made a cake factory. It was not on my birthday, but it was my birthday week, and that still counts. So yeah, pushing forward... military science, okay, is just a lot of salted hardtack now. But the next real science pack... Well, it's going to be chem. And chemical science packs are... I can't find them. There it is. Sorry, the flavor science pack. 5 frosted donuts, 2 cheesecakes, and 3 brownies. Oh, boy. Yeah, we're going to need cocoa for brownies. All right, that's not bad. That's like basic cake batter plus chocolate. And then frosted donut, I assume, is just donut and frosting. Yeah. But cheesecake. Okay. That's... That's not how cheesecake works. But it's funny, so I accept it. Um. Ooh, excuse me. I think. What do I think? I'm trying to decide if I want to push further forward in Baketorio. And if I don't want to do that, do I want to end the stream early, or do I want to pivot and spend part of the afternoon doing something else? I'm honestly inclined to just wrap up early today and take my victory in Baketorio. I don't feel fantastic. I haven't felt fantastic all week. It's the time change. I do not do time changes well, and I never have. So I might just wrap up early today, and we'll say we redeemed ourselves in Baketorio. We were able to get our science going. We're running at a pretty consistent 15 SPM as expected. And I am happy with that achievement. I think if I wanted to try to do this more long term, I would I would definitely make some different choices in my base layout now. Now that I'm also starting to see some of the, like, oh, you need wrappers, which aren't really baking things, like, I probably wouldn't have split the bus. Yeah, like, look at this. Bins from plastic bars. So it does start to give us more of these kind of complex... Yeah, baking soda is really like a chemical process. So it does become less isolated sort of in the two streams as time goes on through the base, which is good. That's what I want to see. But I didn't really design this base to achieve that. And in fact, I kind of explicitly split it, right? So I would probably do things a little bit differently in the overall base design. I would definitely start at a lower SPM instead of trying to go for 30. Like, 30 was manageable here for the first science, but for green science, like, these are reasonably sized builds, and, like, yeah, you could double them. Getting just, like, one belt of flour felt like an achievement unto itself, which, again, is not a bad thing, right? Like, I play hard mods, I play Pyanodons. It's not a bad thing when a mod makes getting, like, a lot of a basic item feel like an achievement. I really just wasn't anticipating Baketorio to be one of those mods and to actually be as challenging as it is. I expected it to be a lot more of, like, a meme, and it's actually a solid, challenging mod. You know, there's some things, and I think some of those are with Baketorio Plus, not necessarily with the base Baketorio, but like certainly figuring out which nutrient recipes are like the intended path forward is really difficult. I would like to see nutrient recipes maybe unlock more progressively, so they're not all flooding the interface when you can't make nutrients with most of those recipes yet. I'd like to see maybe some early options for slightly better fluid handling, whether it's a small tank of some sort that you can read circuit signals off of or something else, just to make sure that it's possible to... Yeah, you can see where we broke. I think we broke on milk, not cream, which isn't what I expected, but it was going to be one or the other. Because when you have two machines like this that are making the same two outputs, you have to prioritize them correctly. And not having the options to do that, and basically having to do like this with my buttermilk, like, just doesn't feel great. I'd like to see better ways of managing those things built into the mods. But like, other than those, and those are really like nitpicky polish things, right? But like the core gameplay of this actually feels really good. It's challenging in the right ways. There's a lot of like looping inputs and outputs, which I like. That's part of why Pi is fun. You know, byproducts that you have to deal with overflowing correctly. It's all exactly what you want it to be. So I'm really happy with it, actually. I've been having a lot of fun, and I definitely, if I had more hours in a week and I had more, you know, stream days, and I wasn't completely invested in my 600-hour Pyanodon's world that I want to keep spending all my time on, I would definitely spend a lot more time with this. I don't know. I didn't really play this intending to review it, but since I played it, sharing some thoughts. Those are my thoughts. Yeah, thanks everybody who tuned in. I really appreciate it. If you're watching this live and want to, or if you're watching this on YouTube and want to watch live, there is a link to my Twitch down in the description, as always. And I really, as always, appreciate everybody who watches and hangs out in the streams or watches on YouTube. It always feels really good to, I mean, to see number go up, but just to know that people are enjoying what I'm doing. So yeah, thanks everybody. I will it's a short stream today, but we achieved what we wanted to achieve, and if I let myself take a nap, we're gonna work towards feeling less like crap for next week faster. All right, thanks again. Ta-ta.